So it's kind of the core paradox of the whole tech landscape right now. The biggest opportunity in technology isn't actually in trying to compete head-to-head with OpenAI or Google.
Right.
In fact, I think trying that is probably just a recipe for failure.
It sounds totally counterintuitive, doesn't it? That the path to, well, the greatest wealth isn't through the routes everyone's talking about, but the real gold mine. We're talking a potential $10 trillion opportunity.
Yeah.
Just in the U.S. labor market. Is found in the most unsexy, underserved places imaginable.
So we're talking about automating the work done by what people consider the most boring businesses.
Exactly.
Think about, your local independent eye clinic or that regional commercial roofing company, maybe even the car wash down the street.
That's where it is. That's where this massive untapped value is just hiding.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Our mission today is to cut through all that noise and look directly at the sources that are revealing this exact blue ocean strategy for AI specialization. And this isn't just theory, it's a formula that's already being used successfully.
We're going to start by analyzing why a general, broad AI actually must specialize to deliver massive business value. Then we'll dive deep into the three-part formula for finding these specific labor-heavy, fragmented markets. The ones where traditional software just failed spectacularly.
And next, we'll cover how this niche strategy fundamentally transforms the metrics that really matter to any business. We're talking lifetime value, LTV, and customer acquisition cost, SACSI.
And finally, we're going to give you the practical step-by-step path for non-technical people, for you to take advantage of this whole shift, immediately.
I get it.
Okay, so let's just establish the scale of this change first. For the last, 2 decades, the whole software revolution was about one thing: digitizing information.
Right. Taking analog records and turning them into digital data. It was huge, no question.
But AI is it's fundamentally different.
It is. It doesn't just manage data.
Right.
It automates labor itself. It automates the actual, repeatable, measurable work that people do, especially administrative work. And that is a fundamentally far bigger economic shift.
And if you look at the entire U.S. labor market, we are just barely dipping our toes in.
Not even.
The data shows only about, 0.2% of the labor market has been truly automated so far.
Which means the potential for value creation is genuinely staggering.
Yeah.
But that potential is why the source material highlights this critical trap. If you try to build, say, a foundational model or some broad automation tool to compete with OpenAI or Google, your resources, your talent pool, your distribution, you're going to be instantly overwhelmed.
It's just an insurmountable gap. So the key is to pivot away from the general and realize that the answer is found in these highly underserved niches.
Right. These are the markets that were too small, too localized, or just, frankly, too messy for big tech to even bother with.
Which brings us to a really crucial question. Why must AI move beyond the general model?
Why can't we just use a general purpose tool like an LLM for everything a specialized business needs?
Right.
Well, generic LLMs are powerful, but they're prone to inconsistency, to hallucination, as we call it.
And for a business, a mistake.
A mistake in filing insurance or calculating inventory could cost thousands and create massive risk. Generic LLMs are just too messy, too inconsistent for specialized business workflows that need, 99.9% accuracy and consistency.
I really appreciate that distinction. It's not about magic, it's about utility. And consistency is the price of admission for any real business tool.
And this need for specialization, it's not some new AI thing. It's the historical pattern for every major technology breakthrough. It starts broad, then it specializes to deliver the maximum value.
It's a great analogy to lean on, the steam engine, right?
Yeah.
It started as this generalized machine that could do heavy work. But its true transformative value that came when it was specifically adapted into, say, a locomotive, or the specific conveyor belts and presses in a factory.
Exactly right. And software did the same thing. It started as broad coding, but it became these highly specialized integrated tools like a CRM for sales or a custom ERP for manufacturing.
Right.
So LLMs are powerful, but from a business perspective, they operate as black boxes. A business can't fully trust a system until that system is engineered and validated for their very specific regulatory environment and workflow.
So if the sources are telling us to specialize, they must also tell us what to avoid. Let's look at the competitive red ocean areas that are already just saturated.
Yeah, you definitely want to steer clear of broad consumer apps. I mean, everyone is building a chatbot.
Yeah.
And avoid the mainstream platforms like HubSpot or Salesforce. They're already absorbing AI capabilities at a rapid pace, and they have these immense distribution advantages.
And what about the big enterprise customers, Fortune 500
Yep,
companies?
absolutely avoid them.
Yeah.
Major players, Microsoft, Oracle, they already have them covered. Competition in those three areas is just too fierce without massive immediate VC backing. It's a land grab that's pretty much over.
Yeah. So if we rule out that red ocean of broad apps and huge enterprises, where is the most untapped potential right now?
It's in those boring vertical industries, the ones that were previously considered too small, too low tech, or just too fragmented for traditional, ambitious software companies.
Okay, this is where we get into the practical application for you, the listener.
Yeah.
The sources lay out this concise, three-part formula for identifying these untouched gold mines, these profitable niches. It's simple, but it's incredibly potent.
The first part of the formula is labor-heavy industries. You look for businesses where administrative time is the single largest operating expense.
Why there?
Because every hour of labor saved by automation translates directly and immediately to saved money and increased profit. High labor cost means high automation value. Simple as that.
Okay, the second part is fragmented markets.
Yep. We want markets where the top 50 companies hold a really small market share. There's no dominant monopoly controlling the distribution channels.
Which means you can get a serious foothold pretty quickly, serving independent businesses that are hungry for tools.
Exactly. And the third part, and this is the most counterintuitive one that traditional VC completely missed, is a limited customer base, or a small TAM, total addressable market.
These were the markets that were historically ignored because they couldn't promise those classic billion-dollar venture scale returns.
Right. And this is where AI just changes the fundamental calculus of the business model.
How so?
Before AI, a small niche was just a small niche, forever. But now, specialized AI can turn a small niche into a massive opportunity, which we'll get into when we talk about LTV.
So if you apply that three-part formula, labor-heavy, fragmented, small TAM, you land smack in the middle of this massive local service opportunity.
And it is a staggering market. We're talking about a $4 trillion U.S. market.
Right.
It's everything from mechanics and dentists to landscapers and cleaning services.
And they're all highly fragmented.
Highly fragmented, labor-heavy. They're relying on archaic tech, still fax machines or spreadsheets, and they've done virtually nothing with modern AI yet.
Whoa. $4 trillion of untouched market. Imagine scaling truly specialized AI into that space. It's the ultimate blue ocean because nobody felt it was worth bothering with until now.
And this is why we have to look at the practical evidence. We need to see specific examples of this formula actually working in practice right now.
And the sources give us the proof. This niche focus is already working, and it's often accelerated by programs like Y Combinator.
It really is.
So let's look at these real-world examples in what seem like tiny niches. The specificity is what's so impressive. In specialized healthcare, we see a company called Barti AI.
Barti AI. It's an AI operating system designed only for U.S. eye care clinics. They didn't try to serve all doctors or even all optometrists. They focused on approximately 19,000 specific clinics.
A group that's traditionally way too small for massive software platforms to even care about. Yet they address this massive pain point, handling tasks like scheduling, insurance verification, complex patient recall. They just raised a $12 million Series A because they solved a crucial administrative problem for one tiny vertical.
That's incredible validation for this whole specialization idea, and we see it elsewhere too. Vetneo handles automated clinical notes specifically for veterinarians, a totally unique workflow. MD Hub is doing AI front desk and admin work exclusively for mental health clinics.
And then if you look at the non-medical local businesses, Nautilus, for example, they built AI software specifically for car washes.
Yeah, handling their unique membership models and these complex payment schedules, it's so specific.
Another great one is AutoAce, an AI voice agent tailored just for car dealerships, managing that initial lead response and qualification.
Or Cohesive, which focuses its entire lead gen platform on super specific trades like janitorial services and roofing businesses.
Even over in Europe, Aura AI provides AI receptionists just for German hotels. It just confirms that specificity equals monetization because it equals trust and fit.
And the sources also point out that even labor-heavy professional service agencies, think marketing, SEO, recruiting, they're all ripe targets because they're fragmented and that administrative time is so costly.
But this brings us back to that core question. If the market is so small, 19,000 clinics, how does serving such a tiny niche suddenly make the economics work for, say, a venture-backed company?
It's because AI fundamentally and radically transforms the two most critical metrics, lifetime value, or LTV, and customer acquisition cost, CAC.
Okay, let's break that down.
This segment is probably the most crucial for understanding the whole $10 trillion opportunity. Let's focus on LTV. Traditional SaaS for a small business, it might save a clinic, 2 admin hours a week?
So they might be able to charge $100 a month for that.
Mm-hmm.
A low barrier to entry, but a really low ceiling for growth.
Precisely. But AI software, because it automates true expensive labor, it saves them not 2 hours, but maybe 15 to 20 hours a week. It can replace an entire part-time administrative position.
So if you're saving a small business owner 15 hours of staff time a week, which costs them maybe $500 or $600 in wages and benefits, you can justify a price point of, say, $1,500 a month for your software.
That's a 15x increase in the price point and the value. And that transformation is what turns a tiny $20 million niche market, the old TAM, into a $300+ million opportunity.
So the specialized AI isn't just software. It's a massive multiplier of human labor capacity.
Exactly. And suddenly, that niche is very attractive for venture scale, or at least a massive, highly profitable, bootstrapped business.
And the sources also say that CAC, the customer acquisition cost, drops significantly too. Why is it cheaper to sell to such a specific niche?
Well, the niche positioning helps immensely because the message just resonates perfectly. Running an ad that says AI for eye clinics is far cheaper and converts way better than a generic ad for a generic CRM.
Because you aren't fighting Google and Salesforce for that top ad spot.
Correct. Plus, AI voice agents and these sophisticated outreach tools, like Clay, they can qualify leads automatically. They handle that initial cold outreach and discovery phase far cheaper and more effectively than a human sales rep ever could.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me, the part that ensures the long-term growth. The Jevons effect.
Ah, yes.
We often assume that efficiency shrinks a market because you need fewer workers.
Right. But the Jevons effect suggests that increased efficiency actually lowers the effective cost of the service, which then dramatically expands demand, and ultimately it expands the market itself.
We saw this historically in radiology, for example. AI didn't replace radiologists. It lowered the cost and time needed for a scan.
Which dramatically increased the demand for scans, increasing the volume of work, and then subsequently actually increasing the need for radiologists to oversee the systems and handle more high-level tasks.
So the same thing applies here. When admin work is easier and cheaper, the eye doctors can see more patients. The car wash handles more members. The overall size of the market actually expands, creating even more opportunity.
It's a virtuous cycle.
So the opportunity is clear, the economics work. What's the most practical first step for the listener who isn't a developer but wants to capitalize on this?
The path that's proving most successful is starting as a specialized AI agency. You learn the market intimately, and then you productize that knowledge into software.
Okay, this agency to software path sounds like the most accessible part of the whole plan. You don't need to be a coder, and you don't need millions in VC funding to get started.
Not at all. It's a 7-step process that basically uses client money as your R&D.
Let's walk through it.
Step 1 and 2. Learn basic AI automation tools. Things like NAN or Make, you can learn them in weeks, not years. They're visual, low-code tools that let non-coders connect different systems and build complex workflows.
Okay.
Then you use that labor-heavy, fragmented, underserved formula to pick your specific niche.
Step 3 and 4.
You position yourself immediately as a specialist. Don't say, I do AI. Say, I help dental clinics automate patient intake and insurance verification.
And then land your first few clients.
And that client work becomes your paid R&D. They're literally paying you to learn their workflow, to integrate their legacy systems, and to build the custom solution for them.
That phase sounds critical, but also really challenging.
It is. You're getting paid to get educated. I mean, I still wrestle with issues like prompt drift myself, where the AI starts forgetting its instructions or its custom persona over time. And setting up complex integrations and client tools is never easy.
But I imagine those initial builds are necessary to gain that deep, specific process knowledge.
The kind that no generalist could ever have. That real-world knowledge is your competitive moat. It really is.
So steps 5 and 6.
Once you've successfully built the same solution for, say, 3 different clients in that niche, you know the solution is repeatable. You can productize it. You build an MVP, a minimum viable product using no-code tools, and you begin that transition from a service to a software business.
And that's the shift. That turns your labor into leverage.
And that's step 7, the ultimate goal. Expand to vertical AI SaaS. You become the all-in-one operating system, the only system that niche needs. Exactly like Barti for eye clinics or Nautilus for car washes. That's the path to scalable wealth in this new economy.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
So, to summarize the big idea for you, the shift is fundamental. We're going from just digitizing information to actually automating human labor.
Right.
And that fundamental change creates massive untapped value, especially in markets that traditional broad software just consistently ignored.
So specialization isn't just a preferred strategy. It's really the only key to unlocking this massive $10 trillion value pool.
Yeah.
The competitive pressure from the major players, it demands that we find that blue ocean.
And the urgency here is real. Only 0.2% of labor is automated right now. The window for finding the obvious niches, those 19,000 eye clinics, the fragmented roofing companies, it's wide open right now, but it is closing quickly as more specialized, well-funded startups jump in.
So the path is clear for you. You need to learn the automation tools, pick a specific niche where administrative labor is painful and expensive, and just start solving a problem for your first client this month.
Yeah.
You don't need to compete with Google. You just need to become the undisputed, trusted automation expert for a few thousand specialized businesses.
And as we consider that Jevons effect, the expansion of the market, it suggests that mastering AI specialization today isn't just about simple efficiency for those individual businesses.
What is it about then?
It's about fundamentally redefining who gets access to services by lowering the cost of delivering them. It's about creating entirely new levels of demand that we can't even fully imagine yet.
A transformation that creates more value than it consumes. That's something huge to mull over.